Hello, everybody, and welcome to SkyWatch Television. I'm Joe Artis Horn. My family has a major announcement to make today, and we're also going to be talking about some content that many of the panelists up here today are creating every week that you may be missing out on. And we're going to make you aware of where you can learn more about those programs. But before we dive in, let me introduce who's here. His broadcasting career has spanned for more than 40 years. He's the best-selling author of the groundbreaking books, Last Clash of the Titans, The Great Inception, and The Second Coming of Saturn. Please welcome Derek Gilbert. She's an absolute legend and pioneer of podcast radio, Christian television personality, and best-selling author of the Red Wing Saga. I'm talking about the one and only Sharon Gilbert. She's a credentialed, ordained reverend with a degree in Bible and theology, a powerful voice in Christian television, Donna Howell. She's the host of the popular Christian television program for women, the Simply His Coffee Shop. Please welcome my beautiful wife, Catherine Horn. And her ministerial career has spanned for more than 45 years. She's the visionary and founder of Whispering Ponies Ranch. Please welcome my beautiful mother, Nita Horn. We want to take a minute today to let you know of some of the programs that exist now that you may be missing out on. And we're going to talk about some of those in just a few minutes. But before we do, we want to talk about a forthcoming program that my family will be launching. By the time you see this program, it will have been on PTL for about a month. Everybody here live in attendance knows exactly what we're talking about, but we've decided to launch a brand new ministerial program called Life TV Now. So what is Life TV Now? I'm going to try to collapse this because the true setup for this would go back, 25 years, and there's way too much to unpack in a short 28-minute program like today. But I want to briefly collapse a 25-year journey that I went through as a person with autoimmune disease, digestive disorders, prostatitis, eosinophilic esophagitis, pleurisy, issues with my lungs, inflammation that the doctors couldn't explain. I went through every CT scan, every kind of MRI, every image that they felt was necessary. I had dye ran through my body multiple times, urethral scopes, trying to find out what the root cause of this anomalistic disease that, by the way, continued to switch titles with differing diagnoses. And ultimately, I would have half of my colon removed, nearly dead by the age of 34, and was praying to the Lord, God, if this is what life is, I'm okay to go home. Dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety. I felt like my kids were being raised by a shell that looked an awful lot like a dad, but wasn't emotionally or physically there for them. Just didn't have the gas in the tank to play with them at the park. And I found myself confronted by a reality that was very difficult to explain, especially as a self-proclaimed Christian. Mm-hmm. My father's a larger-than-life, multi-time best-selling author into things like Bible prophecy and spiritual living. And yet, I felt like I was performing through life, but chemically at the time I had no idea why I was fighting off anxiety and these feelings of foreboding doom. God has not given us a spirit of fear, and I would recite scripture verse, but chemically just, other than the merciful Spirit of God that would give me reprieve, chemically I am messed up, man. Mm-hmm. I was infertile. My wife and I struggled to have children. Like, what in the world is wrong with me? Diverticulosis. I would have these intermittent polyps in my colon burst, and then I would be nearly septic, and they'd rush me to the hospital in the middle of the night, the emergency room. Each time my doctor's speaking over me that could have been the time, had you waited any longer, that you go septic enough to die. We might not get you in for surgery fast enough. Right. This is why they took out half my colon. Right. They didn't tell me when they did that you need that part of your colon for things like absorption, a word called methylation that I had no idea even existed, but it's how your body uses, absorbs, converts, stores minerals and nutrients and vitamins and the building blocks that are converted into hormones and energy and everything.
Well, and even hydration.
Even hydration, right?
Yep.
So it got very dark for me as a person who also grappled with, but God, I'm serving you. Right. I'm asking for healing. if you were to restore my body, you know that I would only go harder into ministry. So that's the part of me that felt like I was performing through a lot. And yet, because the doctors had spoken over me, this is genetic, or we don't have the answers to this, or frankly, we don't know what the underlying root cause of all of these, which would discover later, inflammation, which was a side effect of an under root cause that started in my gut. Now, fast forward, I find myself in my chiropractor's office at absolute rock bottom for a spinal adjustment, because I also have scoliosis. And I'm describing to him, Lord, I've asked him and I've petitioned and he got healed and that guy got, but I don't get healed and I don't know and I'm doing everything I can. I said that over and over. I did everything I can. I took the pills. I did the surgeries. I saw everybody. The best of the best in this state and in that one, because this went like over 25 years in multiple states. And the people that were presented to me as the ones that, I just don't know. I'm just one of those anomalies. I'll suffer for the rest of my life. And he goes, with a sober, stone cold face, he goes, Joe, you don't have to live like this. And here I am talking to my chiropractor. Now, I should say for context, my wife had tried to talk me into natural therapies for years. And because I'm not listening to my helpmate that God put there like a foghorn to tell me what I probably ought to do, I would recite back to my wife things like, no, look.
Joe, let me just say that this is not that is not unique to you.
No, I don't have a monopoly on not listening to my helpmate.
No, honey, did you not listen to my presentation? And
I said very sarcastic things like, honey, a lot of it's just got to be snake oil. Look. And I would say we don't have the brightest minds in the world go to these multi-year colleges to learn how all the big machines work and all the modern tests and all the fancy gizmos. If it were as simple as a diet or an herbal tea, the whole world would be talking about it. Now I am talking about a guy who is completely, as many of you may be watching the program today are, and thousands of people that I've talked with since that time, who are coming out of what I call the Babylonian construct.
Yep.
It's fake news, fake media, fake politicians. Much of it is completely and totally fake, and it is designed to keep you a very unwell, very weak slave.
Yeah.
They would rather that you be a customer than a free person who has autonomy over your life. Now, for those watching the show, I am not here to disparage medical doctors.
Sure.
No, there's some great doctors out there.
Wonderful
seriously.
doctors.
Absolutely.
There are heroes in the middle of the night that will pull you out of vehicles and give you the triage you need to save your life.
Right.
Right.
There are operations that are necessary. Sometimes there are antibiotics or interventions that are necessary. What I'm talking about isn't even the doctor themselves. Many of these people have gotten into those career fields because they want to help people.
Absolutely.
They're asking God on behalf of their people experiencing malevolent cellular disease where they're not expected to live very long. These are practitioners and oncologists and MDs that are praying with their patients. They signed up for this because they care.
Absolutely.
So I acknowledge that. But what I want to say is that the places of academia that have a lot of influence over what those doctors are learning are completely divorced of every natural alternative therapy.
Right.
And my life, as my lived experience has revealed, my father's lived experience when he reversed his type 2 diabetes inside of 6 months after them telling him you're going to have to go on insulin injections because the metformin and the glimepiride are at maximum ceiling and you're not going to get through this without injections. As my wife, my family, as our lived experience has continued to testify over and over and over again, if you think you're one of those that has tried absolutely everything, like I once did, wrap your head around this. Because for you, this might be your Dr. Josh Vance and the chiropractor moment. It's likely you haven't even tried anything. It is likely that you have not even tried anything. And in my case, I had done 0 number of steps, feeling for 25 years that I'd been porcupined and guinea pigged and prodded and cut on and medicated, could tell you that not one thing I did was ever going to help me heal. Not one thing.
You had become hopeless.
I was hopeless.
But you found hope.
But I found hope. By the time I had left his office, I had learned a couple of things. Day one kindergarten stuff called gut health. And he said something about the words gut flora and a word called inflammation. And before I left, he had given me a little bag of things, curcuminoids. They fight inflammation. They help metabolize overstores of glycemic load in the body. Berberine was one of the things that my father used, was paramount in reversing his type 2 diabetes. So here's the deal. I'm going to collapse. As I came out of so much of what had once absolutely been murderizing my life, the stranglehold that was around my throat, others started asking me, Joe, how are you doing this? They saw the weight loss. I was 100 pounds heavier. They saw the energy. They saw the hope. They saw my narrative. You wrote a book called Time Bomb. I put it out. God used it all across the nation. It was one of the biggest moving books in the history of all of Defender Publishing, and I was literally undiscovered before it came out. It was totally a God thing. And it didn't tell me that I was great. It told me that there's a lot of people out there burdened and totally hostage to the belief that they too have tried everything and are just one of these genetic anomalies that's just been destined to suffer or to carry, this mantle of illness for all of life. So my primary goal in launching the new program, Life TV Now, is to focus on discussions that I believe are part of the narrative that are holding people hostage. So what do I mean? We're going to cover all matters of health, politics, family, faith, and joy with a focus on spiritual, physical, and political freedom. We'll tackle serious topics like vaccine recovery, parasite detoxes, fighting back against deadly malevolent disease, autoimmunity, geoengineering, chemtrails, cloud seeding, and human trafficking. But we're also going to be focusing on celebrating the joy of family, nature, God's medicine, and the freedom that He offers you when you know where to look for it. We'll also include preaching series that will teach the Word of God with transparency, authenticity, and a commitment to sharing truth, even when it's unpopular, like our family did, like the Gilberts did during the entire COVID lockdown fiasco when our rights are being infringed upon. My hope is that every episode leaves viewers more awake, more free, and more alive in the truth of God's design. And I want to give you just a sample of some of the episodes that we've already taped that have already played on PTL. We've had guests like John Richardson. He's a good Christian man. He's taken over his father, the late, great Dr. John Richardson's work in making the world aware of nutrients that are vital to our ability to thrive that we get zero of, next to zero of in the diets that we eat. I'm talking about B17, Laetrile, bitter apricot kernels. He's a very good Christian guy. He's out there evangelizing the world. His hope is to see a world completely rid of cancer. We also had Michael Hogan on the program, who is the president of Missouri Clean Skies, to talk about geoengineering, chemtrails, getting in all 50 states, getting this poison, the aluminum, the barium out of the skies, how it's affecting our health. It's something people see with their very own eyes. They have questions. We're taking those very difficult conversations on. Senator Mike Moon was recently on the program. He's in Missouri, one of the biggest proponents of pro-life, political movements. He cares about the unborn. He was a guest.
I really respect Senator Moon because he was the one who actually spoke up when they were getting ready to restore the statue of the goddess Ceres, the grain goddess, on top of the Missouri State Capitol. It had been taken down to be refurbished, and he said, hey, we're a Christian state. Why is this going up there? And of course, the media in Kansas City and St. Louis just mocked him endlessly. So I respect him for taking a bold stand.
He has taken several bold stands, and it's one of the reasons that we were so grateful that he took time out of his very busy schedule to talk with us on Life TV Now. I have guests coming that are going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. Nicotinic receptors. Dr. Brian Artis will be on the program.
Oh, really?
Toward the end of January. He's a very, very well-known chiropractor that's talked a lot about nicotine and its ability to help people overcome long COVID and other forms of inflammation and disease. But you may be wondering, why launch a new program? And that sounds really interesting. Why not just have these people on SkyWatch TV? Well, friends, there's a very specific reason why. Over the years, we've learned that our SkyWatch family values a certain amount of health content. But we as a ministry feel that SkyWatch TV's identity is rooted very importantly in Bible prophecy. We're talking about deliverance from New Age deception and topics like the book of Enoch, the book of Revelation, and of course the rise of Antichrist. And I want to be very clear about this. These areas of teaching remain an enormous priority for myself and also my family. while at the same time, we want to reach the lost, hurting, searching individuals out there that are often unaware that government control over our health systems, the loss of our medical autonomy, changing what it even means to be human through the generational manipulation of the very food we eat, soil contamination, vaccine, air quote, therapies. These emergent dilemmas are themselves prophetic issues. And as a holistic health practitioner now, I feel a clear calling to address them. So it is our heart to serve both, those hungry for prophetic biblical insight as we enter into the final days, and those seeking answers about health, identity, and spiritual freedom. These are not separate lanes. That's what I want you to try to wrap your head around. These are not separate lanes. They are converging realities. So different areas of focus, but both serve the same greater purpose to evangelize a lost and dying world. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
There's also one more thing before we shift gears that I want to make absolutely clear to the SkyWatch viewers, our SkyWatch family. This is in no way me telegraphing a resignation or a pulling back of my focus on this ministry.
Right.
Right.
This is not me leaving SkyWatch. We remain as a family very committed to the important work that this ministry is doing, how it underwrites what we care the most about, which is our charitable ministry, Whispering Ponies Ranch. You're not going to pull me out of the ranch, okay? Let's be absolutely clear about that. So think of this in terms of the Horn family and expansion of ministerial efforts, not me leaving SkyWatch. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You're going to minister in both those lanes. And you mentioned that you've become an holistic expert. You trained for that. The Lord took all of those 25 years of despair and despondence and poor health, and He's now channeling your experience into a show that is going to help millions.
Yes.
I appreciate you saying that, Sharon. When I put the book Time Bomb out, that was the beginning of a very long and continued course of learning. And today, by the grace of God, I am sitting here as a board certified through the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. That came by way of my desire to help others navigate their own health-making decisions when it comes to supplements and what should I do. And Joe, what do you suspect this may have in terms of effects on my metabolic health or my cardiovascular health? And I continue to learn. In fact, now I've got my sights set on additional education that I don't want to talk about just yet. But the point is, I appreciate you saying that very much, Sharon. We want to remind you that SkyWatch TV is a viewer-supported ministry. And right now, when you partner with us, your support not only helps us stay on the air, it also enables us to continue the mission through our networks and digital platforms, reach areas of the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ that are unable to support us financially. Your gift of any amount also allows us to continue funding our charitable ministry, Whispering Ponies Ranch, where children rescued from sex trafficking, severe abuse, trauma, and neglect are welcomed into Christ-centered rehabilitation programs where they encounter the love of Jesus Christ, find rest, and begin a journey of hope, restoration, and healing. All of this at no expense to the organizations or the children that we serve, thanks to the prayers and the financial support of viewers just like you. So if SkyWatch TV has encouraged you, challenged you, or helped you grow, and you believe in the calling God has placed on this ministry, we invite you to stand with us. Your support is a vital part of our ability to reach people around the world with the hard-hitting biblical truths that much of the mainstream church today is unprepared to address. If you feel led to partner with us, you can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone or visit skywatchtvstore.com. You can also call 1-844-750-4985. Every gift helps us continue advancing the message of Jesus Christ around the world. God completely interrupted Satan's plan for my life to take me out 10 years ago. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow, so this is not me claiming any expectation for the next 10 years. The Lord could come back before this program is finished. I may get hit by a bus when I leave this building. My life is in the hands of God where it belongs. But for as long as I'm here, he has given me agency. And while I'm here, I want to share that with others. If you're out there today and you believe, as I once did, in a system that you feel has not provided you with answers, I'm just telling you, there is an avalanche, an entire globe. You start going to the Secrets in Healthcare conference, for example, and you see, 30 other practitioners with similar stories to mine that are working with people that have stuff that should have clocked them out of here if you read into what I'm saying, and they are way past when it was spoken over them that they would not be here anymore, and it's because the power of God's healing merged with the medicine that he's given us, but you have to know what it is. That is what this program will exist to do. Now, I want to tell you where you can watch the program. I mentioned earlier, if you watch the PTL network, it is available there. That's a fleece before the Lord, a step of faith to try to afford to do that. That's coming out of my own personal resources. This has nothing to do with the donations that are made at SkyWatch TV, so I don't want anybody watching this to feel that there's any overlap. Life TV now is Joe Horn's personal project, but you can watch it on the SkyWatch television mobile app. I am making that content available to the SkyWatch television mobile app absolutely free because we have people, thousands of them, that watch the weekly SkyWatch television show there, and I want them to have it. If they want it without having to search the internet or to try to find a network, go straight to the App Store right now and download the SkyWatch television mobile app. It's absolutely free, but it's not just SkyWatch TV and Life TV now. Derek, there are other programs, and every time I'm at a conference, people will ask, oh, you have a daily news program too? If you don't know, Derek Gilbert is covering the news Monday through Friday and doing a fabulous job on a program called 5 in 10, and that's also available on the mobile app.
Absolutely.
And also, we want to make sure people know you get it on a big screen, as with all the other SkyWatch TV video content. Whether you've got a smart TV or a set-top box like Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, go to the App Store for your set-top box or smart TV, and you can add the SkyWatch TV channel there and get all of our video content right on your big screen.
That's good.
Actually, I've got to give Sharon credit for the title, 5 in 10, which is 5 topics daily, because I was early on, back when we started this 10 years ago. It was getting longer and longer and longer. It was taking more and more out of the day. So try to give you a quick look at what's happening in the news without trying to overlap with other conventional corporate news sources. Like if you prefer Fox News, that's great. I'm not going to do a Fox News thing. Try to look for stories that either they're not covering or add some commentary that they wouldn't cover, because we are approaching this from an unashamedly Christian perspective.
Yes.
And try to add like at least one story each day that's a little more uplifting or humorous, so that, remember, we're not given a spirit of fear.
Right.
We're not looking at the news and saying, oh, the sky is going to fall. No, because we've read the end of the book and we know who wins.
Yep.
And so all of this that's happening now, the geopolitics, as Sharon says, is actually theopolitics, the shadows of the real struggle taking place in the unseen realm, because we're not wrestling against human opponents. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. So that's 5 in 10.
You'll also see, when you download the SkyWatch TV mobile app, a program called The Donna Howell Show. And if you don't know the Donna Howell Show, she's absolutely killing it. Theological deep dives, biblical extraction like I've never seen before.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite things to do is this. It's a hobby as much as it is a ministry. I like to challenge bad theology. I love to find that verse that everybody keeps on like rote quoting as if it means this thing over here, and go, no. This is what it means, and bring us back to truth. I love that. Just to give you an example of some of the questions that I have dealt with on my program, why does God demand worship? I like to take the hard questions, the ones that offend the outside world, and say, this is not what you think it is. Is God an alien? Spoiler alert, no. But if not, then how do aliens fit into the Christian worldview?
Right.
Why does God allow evil people to prosper and faithful people to suffer?
Yeah.
Can women be preachers, teachers, and pastors? And yes, I have read 1 Corinthians and 1 Timothy, just so you know. Should we celebrate Christmas, or are certain parts of it too pagan? How old is the earth really? Millions of years old or thousands of years old? And the answer is yes. I love that, Derek. That was in harmony.
Yes.
I tackle a lot of different theological things, everything from speaking in tongues to law of attraction, Nephilim, little g gods and demigods, sleep paralysis, all the way to the witching hour. In cultural reflections with the Christian worldview, I try to think about faith under pressure, discernment, lots of those things. I'm very passionate about what I talk about. And I also just would like to throw out there that I got to have Derek on my program.
Yeah.
So I have arrived.
That's right.
I got to be on the Donna Howell show, so I have
Oh,
There's a number of other fun names on there as well. I was privileged to have the Rabbi Zev Porat on my show, as well as the great Reverend Carl Gallups.
Yep.
I've had Jonathan Kahn sit on program with me, Mondo de la Vega, Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, Hollywood veteran actor David Heavener.
Yeah.
Oh,
And most importantly, Nita Horn and Joe Horn of SkyWatch TV.
I was hoping I would make the list.
Finally.
Especially, Derek flexing that he was on the show. That can't stand without me being on the list, Donna. For those that have been watching SkyWatch television for many, many years, it may not come as a surprise to you that there's also a program on the mobile app called the Simply His Coffee Shop, hosted by my beautiful wife, Catherine. You may have noticed there's been a brief sabbatical. When my father, Dr. Thomas Horn, passed away in late 2023, the emotional bandwidth for these two ladies, my mother in particular, to oversee the ranch, all of the summer camps, I'm talking about Whispering Ponies Ranch, plus the ministerial and administrative needs over at the warehouse, and then also to have a podcast while they have this enormous challenge of grieving and sorting out what life looks like without his support. I gave them all the time they needed to just take a breather.
Yeah.
Take a breather. They are now talking about, so stay tuned, Simply His reimagined and brought back. So keep your eye on the mobile app for that. I am very sure that that's coming, and I think we have some spectacular plans. The program will be a reinvention, a 2.0 version. I think it's going to be absolutely stellar.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
I feel like the format that we're going to introduce is going to be so much more fun.
By the way, if you don't know, the coffee that we have up here, I
Yeah.
drink mine cold, you drink some hot,
I drink hot.
is Simply His Coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
It is delicious.
And you can get it at the SkyWatchTVstore.com right now.
Yes, you can.
So there you have it. We are so happy as a family to have launched the new Life TV Now program. And by the way, I'll be joined every week when it's possible by my beautiful wife, Catherine, who will help me moderate that show. But a constant that you'll be getting to know a lot this year and moving into the future is my co-host, Jamie Woodle, who's an integrative nutrition health coach with a Master of Science and Health Education. This gal knows her stuff. She's going to be there to help bring additional layers of authority to the program when we're talking about what to do to improve and maximize immunity and to lower risks for disease, etc. Unfortunately, we are all out of time. For everybody here in studio, everybody up here on panel, thank you so much for joining us this week. Go right now to the App Store and download for free the SkyWatch Television mobile app for all of this content. Do it right now. I'm Joe Artis Horn. Keep your eyes on the prize, which is Jesus Christ. We'll be back.